Jay here for Stretford, Paddock, and apologies for being a little bit late there. I was just buffing my head up. Special. As you can see, we're in the studio, so that means one thing. We are live, of course. So do get involved in the comments, get involved in the chat, and let us know what you think about all the latest Manchester United news. So we'll start off then. We've got quite a few stories to get through. I'm going to start off with something a little bit different. I'm going to start off with some Manchester derby news that we've been given ahead of this weekend's clash with the City at the Etihad. And the news is that Stuart Atwell is going to be in charge of VAR and Michael Oliver is going to be the referee. Now, Michael Oliver is a referee. You can have your own opinion on that. I mean, he's not, a very popular referee in some circles, but I think it's always, he's no matter what referee, I think people always go, oh, really? Oh, him? Oh, I don't know about him. Michael Oliver's somewhere in the middle of annoying referees for me. He's not one where I go, oh my God, this is a disaster. He's not one where I go, oh yeah, he's all right. He's in that middle ground. But Stuart Atwell is the video assistant referee. Now, you probably know who he is. This is the official that was in charge of VAR for the Middlesbrough game. You remember the Middlesbrough game where the lad handballed it for Middlesbrough and they gave a goal? Well, that was Stuart Atwell's call. He was also in charge for the Burnley game as well, where VAR played a decision in disallowing, I think it was 2 United goals, certainly one. So he's not exactly the most popular man amongst many United fans. I think as well, he was the referee for the League Cup final and he missed the foul on Naby Keita's foul on Chabola. So yeah, he's not a sort of a referee that fills me with confidence, if I'm being honest. And being in charge of VAR, he does have a lot of responsibility. Listen, there's a good chance it might not even matter. We might not even be in a position where VAR plays any point or part whatsoever in the result. But when I saw that, I think it was last night, early this morning, I was like, oh, him again, because Stuart Atwell seems to have come to the front of the queue of officials that we don't like, and there's a good reason for that. So it's nothing against him personally, I just think he's completely incompetent and he shouldn't be in charge of any VAR decisions whatsoever. Certainly not in a Manchester derby, which is obviously a massive game for a multitude of reasons. So there you go. That's one little story there. Another story doing the rounds this morning as well. It's one about Rio Ferdinand. He's been talking about Harry Maguire. Rio Ferdinand talking on his own podcast on the Vibe with Five podcast. There's some guy called Stephen Howson or something. I don't know who he is. But he was talking about Harry Maguire. Harry Maguire has been a hot topic, Annie, for quite a while now. And he was saying that Ferdinand, who knows one or two things about defending and about playing for Manchester United, about captaining Manchester United as well. He says, I think there can be improvements. I think Lindelof is a good player, a solid player. Is he going to enable you to win the league? I don't know. Is Maguire going to enable you to win the league? That's the question as well, because the thing that someone like Ralph and all the top teams now, when they play you, they play on the front foot and are aggressive and want to win the high ball. Therefore, you need defenders who can defend on the halfway line, 1v1, 2v2, all 3 against 2 if you need that security. So he goes on to say about Liverpool do it really well, City do it well, Bayern Munich do it. He then says, can Maguire do that? Can you do that with Maguire? That's my problem. That's my issue. Now, Harry Maguire, he didn't have a good start to the season, did he? There was a lot of sort of debate, question marks around him, whether he's good enough, what was going on with his form. His form after the Euros just was all over the place. A lot of people felt he should have been stripped of the captaincy. I mean, I've sort of gone from, no, that's a terrible idea, it's going to wreck his confidence, so maybe he doesn't need taking out the firing line and him not being captain. So actually, I don't even know, if I'm being honest, if everyone was fit, if I'd start Harry Maguire, I think Victor Lindelof has been a much more reliable defender this season, and I think Raphael Varane is a much better defender. So personally, if it was up to me, and it's not, I probably wouldn't pick Harry Maguire. And I know he cost 80 million quid. I know he has been a regular, and I know he's had a lot of good games for Manchester United. Don't buy into the argument that Harry Maguire has never played well for Manchester United, because he has. He's been very good for most of his Manchester United career. But I just feel that this season, for the reasons I've mentioned, I'd probably go with Lindelof and Varane. It doesn't seem that Ralph Rangnick shares that sentiment. He was speaking a couple of weeks ago and he said that Harry Maguire is going to remain my captain and he'll remain my captain to the end of the season. That's obviously when Ralph Rangnick's contract is up. So he's got faith in him, and I do like Maguire and he's a good player. I do think there are quite a few question marks around him anyway. Get involved in Get involved in the comments. Let us know what you think about that story, this story, any other stories. Jockey Trots says, morning, Jay. Rebecca Jade O'Sullivan says, why does it feel like a midday stream? I don't know. Why does it? We've moved around a little bit. We've had to roll with the punches. We've had some issues around cameras and electric and all that stuff. Not put money in the meter. So we've had to, sort of switch it around. That's why I'm not going to be screaming behind me. I've got a bit of the mural instead. If you care, you probably don't. Tom Greenwald says, announce Wesley Sneijder. When are we announcing Wesley Sneijder? I've been waiting for that now for about 11 years. It's ridiculous. Nick Hill says, Varane and Lindelof deserve to start against City. Do they? Do you think that? Do you believe that Varane and Lindelof should be our centre-back partnership? Lindelof played at right-back, didn't he, against Atletico Madrid? That's not his preferred position. Obviously, his preferred position is centre-back. Would you start him? Would you start Maguire? Let us know what you think. Gary O'Rourke says, going to be a cricket score the weekend for City. Yeah, I mean, I can understand that, Gary. I don't want to be negative, but I can kind of understand where you're coming from, because I do fear the worst about the trip to the Etihad this weekend. We have got a very good record there, I hasten to add. I think we've won, is it 4 out of the last 5, something like that, at the Etihad, which is, pretty phenomenal, considering that during that period, City have been winning titles and picking up all these record amounts of points and all this sort of stuff. And yet, Manchester United have still managed to have a very good record at the Etihad. The record at Old Trafford's not quite as good against City, but at the Etihad, very good indeed. And that's something maybe we can hold on to. Maybe we can take a little bit of positivity from that. Anyway, the main story, the one that was on the thumbnail, this is doing the rounds. This is in ESPN and a few other places as well. The Napoli midfielder, Fabian Ruiz, is also known as Fabian, a bit like Madonna, Pele, that sort of thing. Could have an offer from the Premier League to consider, with Arsenal and Manchester United both interested in securing his signature. And this has originated from Tutto Mercato Web. That's one of the Italian publications. They're saying, ESPN is saying, the 25-year-old Spain international has a contract until 2023 in Naples and has already been linked or attracting interest from the likes of Real Madrid, Barcelona. While Fabian is said to prefer a move to Spain, he's Spanish, I get that. The two English outfits are keen to see whether a deal can be reached, considering he earns just 50,000 euros a week in Italy. Is that it? Some pennies, poor lad. Came over to Old Trafford where he can earn a decent wedge. I don't know a lot about this guy. I've just been doing a little bit of Googling and all working, the usual stuff where you make yourself an expert on things in a 5-minute internet search. Looks like he's a very good player as well. He can play as defensive midfielder, central midfielder. His numbers look good. I think he's 20 appearances this season in Serie A, 6 goals, 3 assists. So he's productive. If you like this sort of thing, and I think it's usually good for a rough guide. If you go and look on who scored, I would quite like them for the rating. He's got a 7.22 rating, which means he's playing well. I know it's not as strictly scientific as it can be, but it's a good sort of guide. So offensively, he's decent. Defensively, he's not, he's not shy of a tackle. I wouldn't say, from what I look in his stats and from what I've read about him, he's necessarily a defensive type midfielder, but he's someone who can do good things at either end of the midfield pitch, if that makes sense. So, yeah, I mean, would you want to see Fabian Ruiz come to Manchester United? He's 25 years old. I feel like that could be the answer in getting a player who isn't a kid and isn't past it, and who's got, a good 5 years left in his tank before he's past his best, if not a little bit longer. So maybe someone like Fabian could be the answer to Manchester United's midfield problems. It does feel like we need an out-and-out DM. I said earlier he can play there. Don't think that's necessarily his preferred position, but let us know what you think. Abhinav Verma says, I'm going to say something controversial. Okay. It's a big statement there for the first party super chat. We need some quality, but honestly, we need players with mental strength. Else no quality will survive. I don't think that's controversial. I think if you look at Sir Alex Ferguson's statements, and Sir Alex Ferguson knew 1 or 2 things about signing players, he said he'd look at the players' personality, look at whether they could handle coming to Manchester United. If you look at the signings we've made at Manchester United since Fergie left, on paper, those signings make sense. When you bring in players like Falcao, Di Maria, Memphis Depay, you look at them and you go, okay, yeah, I understand that. I think these players could play for Manchester United. Even players like Morgan Schneiderlin did very well at Southampton. You think, okay, the next sort of step up is coming to a club like Manchester United. He should be able to do a job there. He's played in the Premier League. He's done well in the Premier League. Comes to Manchester United, expects him to do well. Could you perhaps throw Harry Maguire into that mix and Aaron Wan-Bissaka? I'll let you debate that one. But you see those players, and for whatever reason, it's just not quite worked out for them. They've not been able to handle it. Di Maria had all sorts of issues. Memphis Depay was never the player we hoped he would be. He was shining PSV, comes to United, flat as City Sieve. And we've had that quite a few times with certain players. Morgan Schneiderlin never got going at United. Nicest defending when he first came. I thought there was a player there, and there wasn't. Not for Manchester United at all. And I think he went to Everton and didn't really do very well there. So we've had this issue, haven't we, with players? I don't know if it's mental strength. I get where you're coming from with that comment, but whether it's personality, whether it's just being able to handle it, however you want to look at it, there's certain players that have come to Manchester United and they've done well before they get here. You expect to see a lot from them. Yet when they get here, they just haven't been able to handle it. And the sad thing is, a lot of the players who have got the mental strength to handle it, when you look at players like Edinson Cavani, for example, he's always injured. So it has been a bit of a frustrating one. Juicebox Lille says Serie A is in the mud. They play too slow. Probably wouldn't translate to the Prem. Nick C says Fabian only 50k a week. I read that, by the way. I didn't, that was my opinion. United's interest sounds like a ruse to get a wage increase. Wouldn't be the first player that's done that, has it? Or would he? Sorry. Andrew says morning, Jay. Not looking forward to the City match. City fans think it will be a walkover. I agree with both of them. Nice. Shots fired. Nice little dig there about City having no fans. I like it. It's weird, isn't it, this one? I want to win a derby, right? Always. No matter what. I want to win the Manchester derby. Doesn't matter whether you live in Manchester or whether you live in the other side of the world. United fan, you want to win a derby. And the one sort of the time you've got a disadvantage living in Manchester as a United fan is when you lose a derby because City fans come out of the woodwork. Both of them, as Simon said. But I do want to win it. But the sword is, if we win it, we're helping Liverpool, aren't we? I mean, I still want to win it, but it's one of those. The best answer to that would be to beat City at the Etihad and then beat Liverpool at Anfield. There you go. That'd be ideal, wouldn't it? The ideal scenario. Get involved in the comments. Do you think we're going to win the Manchester derby? Do you think Harry Maguire should start the Manchester derby? Do you like this Fabian kid? Do you know anything about him? Some people commenting. You might not know about him. The fact that you might not know about him, does that tell you anything? Because he's not the first name that springs to mind, is it, when you think of midfielders? When you think of a United tag, he's thinking like Jude Bellingham, Declan Rice, in midfield anyway. I am. So when you hear players like Fabian, you think, when it's players you've got to Google, as Danny Rose once said, is that an issue? Don't get me wrong, a lot of you will know a lot more about him than I did. I'd heard of him, I didn't know a lot about him, so I had to do a little bit of research. Let us know what you think. Abhishek says, let's bring in Poch, Harry Kane, Declan Rice, Amadou, Hadara, Kamara, damn, if only laughing emoji. Did you see the clip of Ralph Radnick getting asked about, was it Koundé, Rice and Haaland? And he said something like, you dreaming or something, or in your dreams or whatever. I mean, yeah, I'd love to see those three come to Manchester United, but I don't think it's going to happen, especially when you've got the manager saying in your dreams. Listen, thanks for everyone who's got involved in the chat. Make sure you're hitting that like button, and do give us a subscribe as well. If you're not subscribing to the channel, subscribe. We want to get to 700,000 subscribers by the end of the season, and with your help, we can do it. We've got some big games coming up, haven't we? We've got the Manchester derby coming up. We've got the Atletico Madrid second leg coming up. We're not far off. I think we've got the Scousers as well on the horizon. We've also got Spurs. We've got quite a lot of games coming up, some big games coming up. So it's going to be a big month for Manchester United. Squeaky bum time, as Sir Alex Ferguson used to call it, and he knew sort of thing or two about these sort of things, didn't he? Jonas Lowick says, Manchester United can beat anyone, Jay, and he's put that in capitals. So he's obviously shouting that one, and he's got a point. He's also put, West Ham can destroy Liverpool. Nikhil says, nice one, Jay. Thanks for that, Nikhil. Listen, United are going to be linked with a lot of players from now until the transfer window. We know that. And as always, at Stretford Paddock, we'll keep you updated. We'll let you know any transfer rumours, any developments, anything that we hear, whether that's, a slight rumour, a report, or something that seems a little bit more concrete, something like a here we go. I know we can't sign anyone yet, but we'll keep you posted. We'll have all the latest Manchester United news, transfer news, any other news here on Stretford Paddock. So make sure you are subscribing. We'll also have all your podcasts, your reviews, your previews, all that good stuff. I've been Jay. This has been the Paper Talk from the studio. Thanks for watching.